Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. I've been thinking about it and I decided that I want to launch or at least try a new series on YouTube. That's gonna be my book club. I've been reading quite a lot and I want to share my thoughts, feelings after I finish a book, so why not do it here on YouTube? If you're interested in content like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more book reviews. But for now, let's start my very first episode of Nasta's book club. For my very first book review on YouTube, I picked a book that is also a first for me. It's gonna be Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is the first romance ever I have read in my life. I also don't really know who this author is. Apparently she's quite popular. I've never heard about her. I just saw this particular cover in a lot of bookstores, so I got curious and picked up this book and decided to try. I was looking for something light, something cute, ideally something predictable and with a happy ending. I've been reading quite a lot of fantasy lately and some of it was quite dark, so I really needed something light. So I decided to try romance. I was under the impression that this genre is quite predictable and that it is also exactly what I was looking for. And I must say, this book did not disappoint and it delivered. I gave it solid 4 stars. I like the idea of this book and the premise, quite intriguing from the start. So we've got this main female character, Daphne, who just gets dumped by her fiance and she is forced to move out of their house and find an apartment. And she actually moves in with a guy that she already knew, but he was an boyfriend of the girl who her fiance dumped her for. I hope this makes sense. So her fiance dumped her and he got into a relationship with another woman who was actually his childhood friend. And that childhood friend had a boyfriend and she had to break up with him so she can now be with her childhood friend. And these two people who get dumped by their partners, Daphne, the main character, and Miles, the main male character, they are now roommates. I didn't really know what to expect from a romance novel, but I liked that the story was moving forward quite fast. Like there were things happening. At some point, Daphne told her ex-fiance that she actually has a boyfriend, and she said that it was Miles, the male character. So the roommates, they kind of start this fake relationship. So there's always something happening and I quite like that. Also, we kind of tapped into the characters' psyche and their emotions and also their past traumas. So that gave depth to the character, I think, and that made me curious a little bit more about them. So that was also something that worked out quite well for me. In general, I like it when characters have some backstory. Well, who doesn't, right? The main female character, Daphne, I think I found her quite likable. She's so different from typical characters in a fantasy books that I've been reading so far. She's more shy and a little bit introverted. Her whole life was basically built around her ex-fiance at the time. What she's trying to achieve, to do, is to actually build her own life. So there is a hint of found family trope, the way she's trying to make new friends with her roommate also, but with people at work. I quite like that. What I was missing personally is that it just felt like Daphne didn't have any life before her ex-fiance, before she met him, although she is in this book in her 30s. I think she's around 33 and she's been with him for like 3 years or 5, I don't know. She had like some sort of life, her adult life before him, and we don't really get any hints about her too, or I just missed it, which is possible because English is my 3rd language, so She's shy, but she's also quite witty, she's quite smart, she's got passion in her life, and she values connections, and this is where I could connect to her personally. I am a quite social person, but also I am introverted and shy. I just do not like to have small talk with people or like meaningless conversations. I do like to have connections, and it felt like some of the struggles that she personally had I could relate to. although I have a completely different background, completely different story, but I could understand some of her struggles and some of her flaws. Miles, the male main character, I kind of did not like him at the beginning. In the scene when we meet him for the very first time, he's kind of not presentable. He's a total mess after his breakup. He was going through stuff, so okay, but I was getting an impression that he was a completely different person. And it was a nice surprise when we got to spend some time with him, go places with him, and we realized that he's a totally different person. He's actually kind and nice. He is someone who's also interested in a genuine connection with people. And then we also get to learn about his past. It was a little bit too mysterious for me, the way some of his past events and his situation was delivered. So I was anticipating really something big, but it wasn't. So that was a disappointment to me personally. I feel like the build-up was there, so I was expecting some huge dramatic story, but I don't know, maybe again that's me coming from fantasy where there's always something big happening. I found his story relatable as well, some of the problems and the way he was brought up in his childhood and that kind of stuff. You can guess still if it's romance and we have a male and a female character, they are gonna develop a relationship. These two characters, I think they had amazing chemistry. What I liked is that first they kind of became friends and only then it developed into something more. It felt very natural to me. That was really, really nice to read. Exactly what I wanted, a light, cute, nice, something uplifting. I felt very sorry for Daphne. She fell in love with Peter, her ex-fiance. He was that amazing guy, very tall, handsome, plus very successful. He's had his whole life figured out. When I was reading that, I was concerned about how she built her whole life around him. Like, she was trying to be friends with his friends. She didn't have friends of herself, or those that she had became friends of his as well. Also, she moved to the place that he wanted to, into the house that he bought, spend holidays with his family. And by the description, you can tell how different she is from his family. Peter, honestly, I hated the guy at the beginning because I could feel right away that, I don't know even how to describe it, but from his point of view, he was okay with her just accepting his way of life and completely getting rid of her own personality, her own life, and just changing everything to suit his lifestyle. He was fine with that, and that is concerning. It just feels really one-sided. But honestly, by the end of it, I felt a little bit sorry for him too. That's gonna be spoilers. Spoiler alerts. If you do not want to hear any spoilers, stop right away, move to the next section, use the timestamps. Peter gets into a relationship with his childhood friend, Petra. They break up at the end of the book, and so he crawls back to Daphne, hoping that they can get back together. That is such a shit move, but honestly, I feel sorry for him because it just felt like he is not evil by nature. It's just maybe he's not as shrewd. He doesn't really know what he wants. Although I feel like maybe he is a little bit like that because they broke up. Petra and Peter broke up because he figured out that she did not want to have any children and he wanted. And that's what made him realize that he should have stayed with Daphne, main character. But he didn't really tell her that when she asked. That felt like withdrawing some information. I think the writing in this book is pretty good. It was quite visual and there was really nothing that stood out to me in a bad way. But also English is my third language and I'm not always able to pick up on details and really comment on creative writing in a book. So yeah, what I can say is that I would definitely recommend this book to someone who is learning English and wants to read something in English, because this is contemporary. A lot of words here are daily words that you can use, so it is really very good book to gain some modern vocabulary. Also, the story itself is quite simple, nothing crazy is going on, so it's gonna be somewhat easy to read it in English if it's not your first language. I would recommend this book to anyone who's looking for something lighthearted, something maybe easy to read. I gave this book 4 stars because generally I liked it. I read it quite quickly, and if I just want to pick up a book after a day of work and dance and workouts and other things, it means that I really want to read it. So it happened here with this book. I liked the characters, I enjoyed their stories, I wanted to learn more about them, I was curious about them. I liked the ending, I liked the side characters as well, because we also have some more side characters. Like there is this friend, Ashley, a woman that she becomes friends with, and some other characters we get to enjoy. The story is quite concise. We do have a couple of characters, a couple of side characters. We have a world, which is a real world, but still some places. But all of this is quite concise. I did not feel like there was like any info dumping, so I really liked it. There were a couple of spicy scenes in this book, so be mindful of that. I know that not everyone likes explicit content. The scenes were fine, I guess. There were some cringe moments, just the way that the characters call some things. Sometimes I cringe at explicit scenes when I don't like the characters, or I am just not rooting for them, or I just don't care enough. You know, this time was different. I was rooting for them and I liked them, so thank you guys for watching this video, my very first book review. I hope you liked it or found it useful. If you have any thoughts you want to drop in the comments, go ahead. But also, if you read this book, let me know what you thought. This is my first romance book ever, and I don't really know what to expect from other book. I cannot say if this book is relatively good or bad for this genre. But also, I'm actually more of a vibe reader, so I am not that attentive when I read, and honestly, I feel like I can read just anything in English, like the worst book ever, and it's still gonna be good for me because it's gonna be in English, and that's gonna do something good for my language skills. That's just so you know my approach. I am not that detailed. I do like to criticize a little bit here and there, and just think about things, but overall, I'm not a very harsh reader. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Like and subscribe.